Hello, it's time for part 9 of the MAS-15 Zerstore work in progress videos. This is the last work in progress video for the MAS-15 Zerstore. Here we have the shield, the gun, the front and back flying armors for the shoulder, the beam sabers, the metal beam sabers that only came with the first edition, and showing off how the shoulder actually is put together. So let's get right down to it. I'm going to start off with the shield, because the shield is actually really nice. It has lots of detail. It has the nice pattern on it that came with the first edition kit, or you can actually get now separately via water slides. Photo etch parts in here, and in here, but you can't really see them because it's really dark in there. It has nice chrome parts that you actually have to put in, and you have to actually fully glue these parts in because they don't stay in by themselves. So, well, actually this one clips in, but this one doesn't, and this one does not as well. It's actually supposed to go underneath this part, which is right here. This is an extra part, and this part right here. The shield is very nice. It actually has a nice heft to it. So it actually feels heavier than the gun. And I did like how they actually added this one part right here to make it more cohesive and not just, you can see the nub marks or anything like that. Very nicely done. Next up will be the gun. I had slight trouble building this, mostly in terms of actually having to get the clear parts, and then the green clear parts, and then the regular clear parts underneath that, as well as getting the nice silver detailing all over, which had to be glued in. This part, as you can see, got kind of screwed up with the glue because it would not fit in. So I had to actually glue that in, and then the glue frosted over the clear glass. So this orange part is actually a completely separate part. So you have to take care in fitting that correctly, because when I was doing it, it actually was not staying put, and I had to glue it in place. But when I was trying to put the gun together, it still would not fit. So I had to glue it, let it set, let it dry, let it harden, and then put the gun together, and then that one was a whole lot easier. So that's pretty much and all the difficulty I actually have for the gun. Overall, it fit together pretty nicely. Oh, one more thing. There's two nubs that are on the back side that you need to cut to fit into the other side of the gun, or else it will not snap together flush. Next up, we're going to show off the beam sabers. I actually did the LEDs on the beam sabers on this one because on the back of the packaging of the beam sabers, it actually shows you how to put them together, which is really great. There's actually a plastic part that goes in there. You have to stuff it in there. It was really difficult to get it in. I had to use pretty much a screwdriver to push this piece down, and then I had to bend the contacts over to actually make sure they touch to fold over correctly as well. The blade sticks in there extremely well, and you really won't be able to get it out unless you have a little bit of finessing to get it out. But it sticks in extremely well. Only downside is when you start to screw this together, it will not fit all the way flush unless you have one of those rubber cloths that you actually use like to get open jars or anything like that. That's the only way I was actually be able to screw it in correctly. I'm keeping it off so I can put the batteries in once I get the batteries. Now let's look at the front shoulder front flying armor of the shoulders. So this actually came together very, very easily, very nicely, no problems whatsoever. So there was some gluing that needed to be done, but typical gluing, just like some parts like this part, these the chrome parts all need to be glued in. This part need to be glued in, and then with the with the photo etch parts as well need to be glued in, and the photo etch parts right here. One slight recommendation for these parts right here and the orange is to actually put them in, make sure they're glued in, like you put some glue on each ends and glue on the bottom maybe as you're putting them in. Then glue the orange part to the top of this. This is actually a separate piece right here. Glue that to that, and then glue this part to this, and then stick it on and glue it on, and then you'll be perfectly fine and have no trouble after that. So let's look good at the rear flying armor. This part I had quite a lot of difficulty in. Not in the places that you would think, but in normal places, unusual places. Like these little chrome parts right here, they actually did not fit correctly inside of it. So once I put these two on, so I recommend gluing these inside on these first, and then putting these on this part as well. Another one is that I actually had to trim some parts in order for this part right here to fit correctly on here, between this and the yellow part. To make it fit correctly, I actually had to trim all the sides of the yellow part. There's actually little nubs on the yellow part in order for this to slide in, but they do not fit. So there is photo etch parts here and here, but you cannot see the photo etch parts in here because it's just so small and actually it's really deep. So other than that, I had little trouble with anything else besides those two parts. Those two parts took the longest of me trying to fit everything together and make sure it looks all nice and everything like that. But other than that, it came together well. It looks really nice and makes basically the shoulders look not that much better. Oh, another thing is that this right here and this right here are screwed in, and when you screw them in, they're very loose. They spin very freely. I actually glued them in because they only have to actually move one way, and then I glued this part on, so that way when it's connected to the shoulder, it stays in one place. It doesn't flop around or anything like that when I decide to change the pose or just move it in general. Last but not least, let's look at the entire shoulder piece put together. Now, this is the shoulder piece that I showed you in another part of the videos, and you actually put these two parts together and then screw them in, and it stays like that, and actually it moves up and down very, very nicely. It'll stay there. I actually glued these pieces in, as you can see right here. Glue these two pieces together, you press them together. I would use some pliers when squeezing these together to have a snug fit, because it has to sit like this. Okay. It has to sit together with this sticking out a little bit. Not like this, it's flush. It actually, when I was trying to push it together, it wasn't pushing together correctly. So then you have a little gap, and it's good, it's secure, but it's meant to actually be sticking out on both sides. So there you go. So, but overall, the shoulders look really nice. They're really huge. It's probably the biggest shoulders that I've ever built on a Gundam or on a model kit in general. So, but they look overall really nice, and I can't wait to actually see how they look with the rest of the kit. That about wraps up the final part of the MAS-15 Zerstore work in progress videos. The next video that you will see is actually the review video of the entire kit, what I thought about it, and showing off the extra details and stuff like that, that you've seen in previous videos. But this time the actual kit will be panel lined and have little extra touches here and there. So until next time, this is Steven from Compogamer.com saying keep building and keep playing.